Welcome to the Living Legacy Podcast, where we feature wealth experts, investors, and entrepreneurs as they share their inspiring journey to living their best life. Now, let's get started with the show.
Brian Fouts here, host of the Living Legacy Podcast, where I feature top leaders across many industries. Now, this episode is brought to you by Living Legacy Association. Here at Living Legacy, our mission is to empower clients with the knowledge and strategy to achieve financial prosperity. Now, whether you're looking to save as much as you can on taxes, protect your current assets, or identify investment opportunities and strategies, we help people from all walks of life, from surgeons to dentists to entrepreneurs, business owners, leaders, and police officers. Now, to learn more, visit our site at livinglegacyassociation.com. Now, today I have Chad Frengen here from Rise 25. Now, Chad has done thousands of interviews with successful entrepreneurs, investors, and CEOs, and we have flipped the script today, and he will be interviewing me.
Hey, Brian, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Chad.
Hey, today we're going to talk about what we call the money mindset and how people, whether people have it, whether they don't have it, how you can develop it, all things like that. So to start off, why don't you just kind of give me a definition of mindset?
Yeah, absolutely. Because when everybody hears the word mindset, we all have a different interpretation of what that word is and what it means for us. But how I interpret mindset is, it is all the mental programs that we have stored in our subconscious mind controlling all of our results. So think of it like a computer. Computer comes with all of this programming on it, all this operating software that allows it to actually function, to turn on, do all these things, and get the results that we want from the computer. Well, we are the same way. We have a subconscious that is programmed that same way.
So how does that relate to money then?
So, well, as we go through our lives, early on especially, we are programmed to think about wealth or money in certain ways, and that affects the results we have later on in life.
So I'll be honest with you. I think of money as like, this is how much I make with my biweekly paycheck. Would that be a healthy money mindset?
That's just an interpretation of money mindset, and it's just the programming that you have. And to be more clear about that, it's the result of the programming that you have. So if you have a paycheck and a job and that's what you have, that is a result of the actions you're taking based upon the programming or the mindset that you have around money and wealth. And everybody has a different programming. But the cool thing about it is you can change it.
You know, before we started recording, we were talking about what it means to be unconsciously competent. Can you kind of take me through where that terminology came from and what that means?
Yeah, so I learned that saying from Bob Proctor, who is one of the best in the industry in this space. And what that refers to is sort of some people that have a wealth mindset or a money mindset that's going to attract abundance and financial success to them no matter what. They have it naturally typically from a young age. Something happens or they have this ability to think differently about money than everybody else no matter what happens. So some individuals, Elon Musk, some of the big names out there are individuals that have that ability because they're confident around money, but they've done it, subconsciously already without having to kind of go back and maybe fix the programming or change the programming.
So what would you say, like, let's say Elon Musk, you took away the things that he's currently doing and he's left with nothing. You say he's unconsciously competent. What about him would cause him to still be okay?
So he's got that ability to think differently about money and wealth and take action on it. So there's a gap, and Bob Proctor talks about it as the knowing and doing gap. So someone like Elon, he knows how to build financial wealth. He does, and he will take action to make that happen. A lot of us can look at the same thing that he's doing and say, oh, I see what he's doing. Oh, I can do the same thing, but we won't do the same things. We won't take the same actions because we're not programmed the same way. We don't have that same subconscious programming in our life that mindset that allows us to do the same things that he does.
Would you have characterized yourself, throughout your adult life, at least, as someone who is unconsciously competent?
Absolutely not. No, that was not my programming from a young age. And in fact, I had to go through a lot of not challenges, but experiences to really understand that, and then have to work on changing it to get that mindset, that money mindset, to really have the success that I've been able to experience. It was not something that came to me just naturally.
So as we talked about in a previous episode, you are an entrepreneur. Would you or most entrepreneurs, would you say that the ability, the desire to build wealth is the primary goal of entrepreneurs, or is it to not have a boss or some other reason?
No, I really wouldn't think it's that. And that comes back to really how we were influenced throughout our lives. So take myself as an example. When I was growing up, I was really not taught about money and wealth and the wealthy life and all this kind of stuff. And so I just looked around me, and that was what influenced my mindset around money. And so guess what? I repeated the same things that I saw around me. So I went to school, got a job, 401k, had a boss, all that same stuff, because that was my subconscious programming or mindset around what do I do to have money in my life? You go and trade time for money, because that's what I was taught. That's what I saw. That's what I learned when I went to college or I went to high school. That was the programming that was being fed to me. And I heard that, and that influenced my subconscious, which then allowed me to take action on it. And that's the results that I got. And so,
okay, go ahead.
That's how most of us are taught. That's our mindset, is do the same thing we see around us, trade time for money. And for me, what that created was limiting beliefs. When I tried to change my life, when I went to go do something different, I had these challenges, I had these struggles, and I really, at that point, did not understand what was going on and why I was having challenges. Yet when I'd look over, I'd see this other individual who didn't have the education I had, didn't have the same resources, yet they had massive success. And I was like, wow, okay, if they can do it, I can. Well, I came to find out that's not always the case.
So what did you have to do, or to, when you realized that maybe the trade time for money mindset is not, the most suggested mindset? What did you have to do to change yours?
Well, one, I had to really understand, first off, what I wanted. And so I thought it was, I want to go have a business or be an entrepreneur and make a bunch of money. And then I'll live that life that we all dream of. I'll have that freedom. And freedom was the word that I eventually latched onto, free. And what is free? Well, when you boil it down to simplicity, a lot of entrepreneurs, that's what they're going after. That's the life that they want. It's that freedom. Freedom to do what you want, when you want, wherever you want, with whomever you want. Well, guess what is not a direct component of that? Money. Now, does money make all that stuff easier? Absolutely. Of course it does. We're never going to say that. But I know dozens of people that have freedom in their life. They have that free life, but they're not wealthy. They're not rich, but they've built a life that is free for them. So a lot of times we're chasing the money, chasing nothing, thinking that it's going to get us these results. In reality, it's just one of the tools that allows that to be even easier to do. And so once I started to realize that, I started to build my life differently, because I was chasing the money for a long time, and I would have success, have a setback, success, a setback. And what I thought was, man, I'm battling all these external things. I'm battling the market, battling, this client or this partner or whatever it is. Oh my gosh, it's the government. Well, no, what I was battling was myself, my own internal mindset. And it took me years to understand that that was the thing that was holding me back, was myself. I had to become responsible for me, my own mindset, and I had to work on it. So yeah, that's what I realized. And it wasn't like a snap of the fingers and that's when it happened. It took time, and I'm always working on it now. But once I started to realize this, it changed everything for me.
So can you give me some examples, or an example of kind of how you had to rewire yourself? You said you were always chasing money or something, but you kept having these setbacks, and then you were chasing freedom, but there were also setbacks. How did you kind of have to rewire yourself, maybe change some of your thought processes initially?
So one of it was I had to understand that I had limiting beliefs. I had to really come to grips with the fact that, hey, where I'm at today is my responsibility. It's my decisions that led me to where I'm at. Now, most people say, well, that's BS, because guess what? I was born poor. I was born in a trailer park. I was born here. Great, but guess what? A lot of successful people are as well, and guess what they do? They do something different with their lives because their programming might be different. So I had to understand that even though I was programmed and I made these decisions, it's my responsibility. And it's also my responsibility to, if I want something different, to do something different. But it started with me. So I realized that I had to look at what were my limiting beliefs, identify those things. And it's not about destroying them. I had to replace them with something different. I had to understand, okay, what is my belief about, maybe it's a trading time for money, right? I used to believe for a long time that, I'm going to work harder to make more money. That was my belief. It was a limiting one. But when all of a sudden I realized, wait a second, what if you were able to work 10 or 20 hours on a project and make no money in those 20 hours. But once you were done, then you make $1,000 a month for 5 years. Once I started to kind of think that way about the things I was doing, things I was spending my time on, all of a sudden I had one income stream, another one, passive income over here. All of a sudden I started building these different things because I was not focused on trading time for money. I was focused on making my time more valuable and building assets with my time that allowed me to go do what I want without having to worry about the asset cash flow.
Would you say risk aversion is a big factor in people not having a full money mindset like that? Like, I just need to know that I'm going to get paid for whatever little thing I do, and I'm afraid to kind of take that chance of a big windfall down the line.
Yeah, entrepreneurs they'll take on risk. That's one of the things that sets them apart is they're willing to take risk. And that was something that really held me back as well, because I had taken risk early on in my life when I started becoming an entrepreneur, and I had some negative results. And so that started to influence my mindset when it came to future risk. And so all of a sudden, I was like, oh, I don't want to take any risk. I don't want to do stuff. And so I started being very conservative with what I was doing. And all of a sudden, I wasn't having success. I wasn't profitable. And I had to step back for a second and realize I'm risk averse now. All of a sudden, I don't want to do anything. And so I'm not going to grow. I'm not actually expanding my life. And so I had to really reverse that a little bit. And once I started doing that and started taking on risk, I started having success. But here's the thing. My interpretation of it before this whole journey is that I'll give take money for an example. We take money, we give it to a mutual fund or a 401k planner, and we take risk. And yet we think that's okay. And there's one thing, though, that we don't have when we do that oftentimes that I realize, and it's control. So entrepreneurs will take risk, but oftentimes they control the risk. So they're responsible for the risk as well. And that was like, oh my gosh, when I realized that, it's like, man, when I put my money to a 401k, I felt like I was not responsible. I felt like it was the market or not IRS, but Wall Street. They're responsible, not me. Well, one, that's wrong, because guess what? It's my responsibility because my money. I can choose what to do with it. So it starts with me first off. And so once I went to entrepreneurship and I started to realize that, I said, oh no, I can take risk on because as long as I maintain control, I can do that. And so now today, I've taken on multiple 7 figures of risk, which 10 years ago, I could not have comprehended doing that. But my mindset has changed around risk, control, and money. And so I can take that stuff on, but I'm the one in control of the risk as well.
Have you found that everybody that you know that has kind of the freedom that people seek, especially when they go into entrepreneurship, is raking in the money? Or is it possible to have that freedom without, having a great financial windfall?
Oh, absolutely not. You don't have to have the financial windfall to have that wealthy life. And I call it the wealthy life because there's a studies that have shown that when it comes to money or wealth, it's 95% mindset. But really, it's not your conscious mind, it's your subconscious mind, which is your programming around money and wealth. And so when I started to kind of think about that and realize it, and I started looking at and studying other people, people in my network, people that I knew, big, celebrity kind of individuals, I started to see these patterns of it around the mindset. And it was that they lived a wealthy life, and the money side of it is just a component of that. It's just a component because guess what? I have met billionaires that are miserable, working 80 hours a week and hate their life. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, look at that person. They're a billionaire. You would not want their life because they don't have freedom. They don't have that. And so they would not say they have a wealthy life. They've been divorced. Their kids don't talk to them. And believe me, this is somebody I know. They're miserable and they cannot escape their business because if they do, it would implode their life. So they're stuck.
So what do you think are good ways to work toward that kind of wealthy life, even if you don't have an abundance of money? Do you start by figuring out your own mindset and then seeing how you can shift your priorities around?
So yes. So there's 3 components that I look at when it comes to what you just talked about when it comes to getting the results that you want. So it starts with a conscious thought, which is in your mind. This is what we call a knowledge. And you've probably met people that are very smart, have all the knowledge in the world, yet don't have good results in life, don't have success. because the knowledge is just one component of it. And so that's your conscious thoughts. But conscious thoughts then imprint upon our subconscious programming. And that's how we build beliefs. That's how we build, call it these programs or paradigms. They're in our subconscious. From talking to walking to, eating to blinking, those are all programs that we have. And those are things that are built throughout our experiences in life. And so what happens is then your subconscious then creates vibrations, which are then actions. So me talking to you right now is my subconscious programming presenting itself in the physical world as, speech. And so what happens is the same thing around money and wealth. If you have a conscious thought around money, that's going to imprint upon your subconscious, and then you're going to take action on it. And so the way to really change it is to start to change what you're focusing on, what you're actually thinking about when it comes to money. So for me, I have routines that I do throughout the day to really do that, to imprint upon myself what I want to have happen in my life. So like as an example, I have these scripts that talks about what the results I want to have in my life are as if I've already achieved them. I call it my life script. Bob Proctor does this, and one of my mentors, Brian, does this as well. And so I look at that stuff all the time, every day. So that is what I'm focusing on, which my subconscious then hears that. And it, by the way, the subconscious mind does not understand time, right or wrong, good or bad, what's real, what's not real. It doesn't really care. It doesn't care. And so you can actually change your programming. So that's what I do all the time. I'm just feeding my subconscious mind these thoughts, these ideas, these emotions. And then I turn around and all of a sudden I'm manifesting that in my real life. I'm actually attracting those things because that is what I'm thinking about. That's the vibration I'm putting out into the world. And so that's how I've done it. And it's pretty crazy how it can affect your life very, very fast.
Yeah. As we wrap things up here, can you give me an example of one of those things? Because I'm sure most people are like you or like me, where you didn't start out with the same mindset that especially that you yourself have right now. Can you give me an example of one of those things that you kind of feed into your subconscious mindset?
Yes. So one of them, and I'll give you a couple examples of this. It's goal setting. Now people are like, oh yeah, goal setting. Well, if you study Bob Proctor and individuals like him, they talk about three different types of goals. There's goals that we've done before, we've achieved before. There's ones we know how to achieve, and there's ones we have no idea how to get to. Those are the ones that I focus on. The ones that I do not know how I'm going to get there because it is big, it's there, it's like wow, but I don't know how I'm going to get there. I focus on that because I don't know, and I don't know how I'm going to get there. But okay, that is the journey. That is where the growth happens, is in achieving that goal. And so I focus on those kinds of goals. And then I'm constantly feeding that to my subconscious. And then I'm taking action on that. And finding out how you're going to get there, to me, is the journey. And
so rather than ignoring those things, you actually focus on them and then you figure it out. It just happens.
Well, think about this. Elon Musk, what's his goal right now? We're going to go to Mars. We're going to colonize Mars. Does he have any idea how that's going to actually come to fruition? No, but he doesn't care because he has belief, 100% belief that he's going to accomplish that. Guess what? Go look at his life. He's done that over and over again. There's an example that I have in my own life where I was in my early 20s and I was walking down San Francisco on the street going to work, and I heard this noise, and it was this car coming by me, and it was a Shelby Cobra that went past me. And I was like, oh my God, I'm a car guy. And I said, that's my dream car. It is my dream car. And I remember I called my mom up and I told her, I'm going to have that car in 5 years. And she's like, how are you going to do that? I have no idea, Mom. I have no idea how I'm going to do it. I had it in 4 years.
Nice.
I had it in 4 years. And it was my dream car. And I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I had this belief. There was no question in my mind that I was going to have that. And guess what? That's exactly what happened. And I've seen that happen time and time again in my own life now. Like I said, hey, I'm gonna live in this area of the state that I live in. My wife said, how are you gonna do that? I have no idea. I'm living there right now. Moved here 3 years ago. I had no idea how I was gonna do it, but I believe that no matter what happens, that's the outcome I'm gonna have. I'm gonna achieve that. And so my challenges to people is, what is that goal that you want that is out there that you don't know how you're gonna achieve it, but when you do, your life has changed. It's like, it's mind blowing. You're so happy. You're so joyous. And so I live in that joy and that experience of where I'm going every day. I put myself in that state of mind and that vibration, and that is what I attract. And so whether it's, more money or having a wealthy life, finding, that partner that you've always, that dream partner of yours, that dream house, all of these things are how I change my mindset, my programming to attract those things to me. I don't focus on, oh my gosh, if I just got a 5% raise, this year, I'd be happy. Like that's not changing my life. That's not a goal that I'm going to be like so excited to go towards. And so it's, we call them C-type goals. It's that goal that is just out there. It's big, it's impactful, and it's really that one that you can get emotionally tied to. And so once you start doing that, the money kind of is really not oftentimes the thing you focus on all of a sudden. But here's the fun thing. The things that I talked about, that I accomplished, all require significant amounts of money. The car, I was in my early 20s, was $45,000 to build it. I built it myself. Well, I was making $50,000 a year, and it was a $45,000 car. Like I didn't know how, I didn't even have the money. But guess what? I didn't focus on the money. I focused on the car. The money came. The money came to me. So that's really how you can really identify and focus on mindset and really build that, what I call the wealthy mindset.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. That's great advice. I'll before I talk to you next, I'm going to come up with my own personal things to that I need to focus on that I have no idea how I'm going to get to, and then we'll see how it goes from there. Absolutely.
And the cool thing about this is that it's not like I get to where I'm at and then I'm done. This is what I do every day. I'm always working on that wealthy mindset. Sometimes it's health, sometimes it's money, sometimes it's business, sometimes it's my kids. It doesn't matter. It's the journey that makes it worthwhile.
Yeah, that is awesome. Hey, Brian, it's been great to talk to you. Some great advice today. Great stuff. Really appreciate it. Thanks so much, and we'll look forward to future episodes.
Thank you.
So long, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Living Legacy Podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.